Welcome friends, I'm Meredith and I am also known around the internet as mereofalltrades, and if you're new here, I would love it if you would subscribe and stick around. I do all kinds of videos. I do unboxings, I do hauls, fashion, beauty, and food content. And tonight I'm sharing 3 recipes, 2 of which are one-pot meals, which was a request, so you know who you are. So I'm going to share with you a pasta dish that I made all in one pot. It is definitely on the spicy side, so if you like a lot of heat to your meals, you will absolutely love this. And if you don't like things too spicy, you might want to steer clear of that jarred sauce, but you could absolutely switch out your favorite marinara sauce in that recipe and it'll turn out just fine. The second one that I have for you is like a Sloppy Joe's recipe. That one is a friend of the family recipe, so I will type that one up and leave it in the description box for you guys in case you want to try it out. And then the last one is the winner for sure of this set of recipes. It is a beef tips recipe. It was so good. I served it over mashed potatoes and it was so yummy. You're definitely going to want to make that one. My mother-in-law just made it and said that she and my father-in-law absolutely loved it as well. So I will link that one in the description box. It is not my recipe, but you guys I think are going to love it if you are a meat eater. So definitely try it out and let me know what you think. And leave me any of your recipe requests or ideas. I'm always looking for new ones. So stay tuned for the rest of the cooking video and don't forget to give this one a thumbs up. Talk to you soon. Tonight's recipe is beef tips with gravy. So I have just over a pound of stew meat here, and I'm going to go ahead and season that while it's still in the packaging with some salt and pepper. I do have my stovetop preheating a little bit. We're going to add some olive oil to the pan. I'm going to go ahead and link this recipe for you guys below in case you are interested. It calls for 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. And then it actually calls for 2 pounds of meat, but I just got 1 pound because I figured that was enough for our family. So I'm going to go ahead and once this nice hot cast iron enamel coated pot is ready to go, which actually my oils are starting to ripple just a little bit, so I think we are good. I'm going to go ahead and add the meat directly in. I want to brown this. That sizzle is definitely loud, but I just wanted to show you now that I've gotten a little bit of color going on my beef there, I'm going to go ahead and remove that from the pot. And then we're going to saute up the onions, and I'm definitely going to turn the heat down considerably when I do that, because I do want to soften them more than like full-on saute them. The recipe calls for 1 onion chopped. We're going to go ahead and add that in. And get that softening, and I have it turned down to just under medium heat. And I'm just going to break apart any of those pieces of onions and let them soften up. So the onions have softened up nicely, so I'm going to go ahead and return all of the beef along with any juices back into the pot. Make sure we get all that goodness. And then to this, we are going to add 1 can of French onion soup, 1 can of beef broth, 1 bay leaf, and 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. And then it says to add salt and pepper to taste. So I'm going to add just a small pinch of each, maybe a little more black pepper than salt, because I know that the beef broth and the French onion soup probably will be a little on the salty side, so I can always add more of that later on. And then we'll come back in about 1.5 hours, and we will thicken this up with a little bit of a cornstarch slurry. Just giving this a quick stir to make sure that all of the beef is sort of underneath there and that the bay leaf is well placed in the liquid. And then I'm going to go ahead and cover this so it can get all happy. I just took the lid off these beef tips and they smell so darn good, you guys. We are going to go ahead and thicken this up with a cornstarch slurry. I've got some russet potatoes that I've peeled and chopped up, and these are just starting to boil in some salted water. I'm going to make some mashed potatoes, which you guys have already seen me do. I'm also going to serve this with some oven roasted asparagus. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out that bay leaf and get that into my trash can over here. And then I have 1/3 cup of water right here, and we're going to add 3 tablespoons of cornstarch to that. So I've got my cornstarch here. So 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to just go ahead and give this a good whisking until any and all lumps are gone and it is fully dissolved. So as far as how I cook my asparagus, I have shown that, but it's been a while. So I'm just going to go ahead and drizzle the cornstarch slurry mixture in there. We'll give that a stir. I roast my asparagus after washing it and trimming the more stocky ends off. I drizzle with olive oil, salt, and pepper, and I roast it at 400 for about 10 minutes, and I find that that tends to make it just about perfect. So just like that, this is already thickened up. Look at that beautiful gravy. That looks so delicious. So I am excited to eat this, you guys. So as soon as the asparagus is out of the oven and the mashed potatoes are ready, I'll meet you back here. I did want to tell you, I just turned the heat off. I feel like the residual heat, because this is an enamel coated cast iron pan, I think it will do just fine. And you guys, I'm able to break through these pieces of beef with the spoon I'm cooking with. So it is going to be so tender. All right, so the potatoes and the asparagus are already dished up. Careful, honey. And the last time I made mashed potatoes, I only used a hand masher, and my family informed me that they could tell the difference and that they prefer them to be whipped with the KitchenAid hand blender. So if you want a tip on fluffier mashed potatoes, do that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and dish up some of this beef and gravy. I'm surrounded by kiddos over here. And I have a taste tester who is going to try it out for us. Can I come over here? Hold on. All right, and now Liam shall taste test with the little one hopping in the background. How is it?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
I like it.
So I should make this again? All
I'm
right.
gonna eat the big beef part.
Well, there you go. Grab some. It's delicious.
That's good.
You heard it here. I did try and sneak a piece just a second ago, and it's delicious. I highly recommend, if you want to try a new recipe, to give this one a go. It'll be in the description box. Tonight we are making Jan Onda's Hamberger BBQ. So this is a recipe that my mom wrote down just on a piece of paper, on a little pad of paper, and I believe Jan was a friend of my grandmother's. So we're going to make her recipe, aka it's basically Sloppy Joe's. So my mom wrote down a scant recipe. It says brown ground meat with chopped onions and green pepper. It does not give me an amount. So I have almost a full bell pepper and about half of a very large onion that I got in my Imperfect Foods box. So I'm going to start by softening those up a little bit. And I have 1 pound of ground beef. The recipe says you can use 1 pound of beef, turkey, or pork, or a combination of that. So we're going to do just like Jan said. So I'm just going to go ahead and soften these up. Now what's interesting is this recipe does not call for any salt or pepper. So I don't know if my mom just forgot to write that down or what the deal is with that. I'm not going to add salt right away, but I am going to add pepper because I do think I'm going to want that. So while I have the bell pepper and onion sauteing and softening up over medium heat, I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. So, looks like my beef is done defrosting based on the beeping sound. Alright, so I have scooched all of my onions and peppers off to the sides of my pan, and I'm going to go ahead and dump in a pound of ground beef. And then I'm just going to break that up and brown it, and I'll come back and we'll make the sauce. Alright, so the meat is looking nice and brown. We're going to add to that 1 cup of water, 1 teaspoon, it says prepared mustard, so I'm assuming just like mustard in the bottle. So it's 1 teaspoon. I'm just going to give like, haha, just kidding, this is still sealed. Let's try that again. Okay, so we're going to do 1 zigzag, and I'm going to call that 1 teaspoon. You can measure if you want. And then we're going to add 1 tablespoon of sugar. I'm going to shake a little of that out and make it a scant tablespoon because I feel like that seems like a lot of sugar to me. But that's just me. You do you. We're going to do 1 tablespoon of vinegar. I'm using white vinegar. And 1 cup of ketchup. Again, I made that a scant cup of ketchup because that seemed like a lot to me. And then we're going to give this a stir. So now basically we're just going to let this simmer away and cook down. This is to cook down for 1 to 2 hours or until the sauce has thickened. So if you maybe don't have 2 hours, you could definitely crank the heat up a little bit and then just stir pretty frequently to make sure it doesn't burn on the bottom. I also think you might be able to do this where you brown the ground beef and onions and peppers and then stick this all in the crock pot, and you could put it on low for the whole day. It would also be great that way if you had like maybe a potluck or an outdoor summer barbecue, you know, when the world goes back to normal. And this would also be good to make a double batch and freeze in containers. So that would be a good option too, because then if you did like a double or a triple batch of this, if you really like it, then you have meals anytime you want, and all you have to do is defrost and heat it in the microwave. So I'm not gonna let this simmer for 1 to 2 hours just because I didn't read my recipe before I started cooking. So I'm gonna speed this process up, put it on high and stir, and I'm probably only gonna cook it for about half an hour, but I bet I can get the sauce to thicken up nicely in that time. All right, see you in a minute. All right, so I've got my sesame seed bun here and our Hamberger BBQ, as it's called, or it was back in the old days, is really thickened up quite nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and dish some of this up so you guys can see what it looks like.
Mom, you did it. I did it, Mom.
You did it? Okay. I'm not sure what she did, but she did it.
Hey, Mommy.
Yeah? What's up?
Can you get pasta on it?
Hold on, I gotta help a little kiddo. Alright, so there is what it looks like all dished up. And I'm gonna serve this with some carrot sticks and a dill pickle because I love me some dill pickles. How about you guys? If you guys make sloppy joes, let me know. Do you do anything different with your recipe? Do you add anything, omit anything? I would love to hear you guys' tips and tricks as well. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and test this. So for some reason the lighting is picking up weird in my kitchen, but we're gonna go ahead and taste test this anyway because I'm honestly curious to try this out. That is really good. Messy, but good. I will leave this recipe typed up in the description box below for you guys, and I'll see you soon. I have 1 pound of penne noodles cooking, and it's just about time to drain them. And in this same pot, I'm going to create the sauce that goes with this. This is going to be our one-pot dinner. This was a requested video. So I have the Trader Joe's spicy chunky tomato and pepper pasta sauce. This is the first time that we are trying this. So I'm going to go ahead and dump the entire jar right into the pot that I cooked the pasta in to heat it up. Get every last little bit of that out. Now I do have a bag of broccoli going in the microwave right now. Ooh. Yeah, I can definitely smell some of the spice in there. And I'm going to add some organic chopped frozen spinach that I also got at Trader Joe's to this. I might have to pull my bag open a little bit more here. So I'm measuring out, I would say, I don't know. I'm terrible at measuring. This is a pretty big hunk, so I would say that's at least a half a cup, if not more, of frozen spinach. So it's probably going to end up being like a 3/4 of a cup in the frozen state, which will of course cook down quite a bit. And I'm also going to add a couple of these Laughing Cow cheese wedges to my sauce. And that's just going to give it some creaminess, and it will also mellow out some of the spice. Since I do have little children and I love a good, creamy, yummy, delicious pasta. Who doesn't, right? All right, so there is one cheese wedge. I'm going to get the other one open here. So I'm hoping to keep things just a little bit lighter by using the Laughing Cow wedges, since I think they're about 30 calories per wedge. And then I'm just going to stir the spinach and the cheese in there until the spinach has completely thawed and is heating up with the sauce, and until the sauce gets a little bit creamy. So as it's cooking, if I feel like the sauce, I would like it to be a little creamier, I can always add a third cheese wedge, but I got those, I think a month ago now, on sale at Costco. They were a pretty good price, so I decided to pick those up. And that would be my broccoli beeping away in the background. So I'm just gonna let this heat through and cook the spinach just slightly, and then we're gonna add the cooked pasta to the pot. But here's what it's looking like so far. So some substitute options for the Laughing Cow cheese. I think you could absolutely use, I would say probably like 2 ounces of cream cheese. You could use mascarpone cheese. You could use ricotta. You could even do cottage cheese if you don't mind the texture of it. Or you could just omit the cheese altogether. If you are, vegetarian or vegan even, you could totally enjoy this. You could switch it up for gluten-free pasta. Of course, I'm going to top it with Parmesan cheese because I'm kind of a Parmesan cheese junkie. And if you wanted to, you can serve this with a side salad, or I'm going to do it with some broccoli that I've steamed in the bag in the microwave, and you can either serve that on the side or literally just toss it in the red pepper sauce. Depends on what your preference is. I'm going to leave it to the side because I think my kids will prefer that, but if it were just me, I probably would toss it in the pot. All right, so the sauce is bubbling away and very much ready to go, so I'm going to go ahead and add my cooked pasta back in to my pot, and I'm just going to give this a stir. It's as simple as that. And then we can give this a taste and see what we think of this new sauce. So if you don't like a whole lot of heat, you could absolutely just use a regular marinara sauce as well. This is one of those things where you could make so many substitutions. If you had some fresh mushrooms, you could saute those before you add the jar of sauce to the pot to give it a little bit more heartiness. But that is what it looks like. All right, let's dish this up. So I have my side of broccoli, always a personal favorite. And then let's get some of this pasta because it looks delicious. All right, and then of course, you have to top it with a little bit of cheese. You could totally do feta or Parmesan. All right, I'm gonna grab a fork for this. All right, so here is your bite, and here's one for me. Okay, first of all, you can definitely taste the red pepper in this, and it does have some serious kick to it. So definitely be expecting that. I think it's really, really good. I do think you could add more creaminess to it, even than I did, and it would be delicious that way. And I would totally add some extra garlic.
I
smelled something in here and it smells really good.
And I didn't even pay him to say that, guys.